But yet you have this huge resistance to take the vaccine. And here's the thing. It is all warranted. There is no reason to trust these institutions. They're bad. They do bad things. They want bad things for you. But the thing that drives the political response to it, the thing that becomes the most coherent expression of this resistance to vaccines, ends up being dominated not by a critique of the institutions, other than as like a partisan thing, but as a expression of an individual autonomy and transcendence of like social obligation that is literally anti-social. Like, it is a denial of the existence of the social and of social obligation as a concept. Now, of course, as I said, plenty of people don't think that way. Because they think it's a scam. They think it's wrong, but they accede to so much. This is what I'm saying. We accede to capitalism's absolute mandate every day of our lives. It sucks us down, it drags us down, but there's nothing we really feel that we can do about it. What we can do about it is express that alienation somewhere else. We can transfer that feeling to something else. And we can assert authority and power over our lives somewhere else. And there's this vaccine that they tell you to take, and you cannot take it as a way to express autonomy. Here's me being an agent of history and not just another passive recipient. But there's plenty of things you could do that with. The reason people are choosing vaccine is because that is one that has a broader cultural valence, because nobody wants to suffer, nobody wants to do something different, nobody wants to risk the punishment of defying the world alone. That's why we keep doing what they tell us to do every day, because we don't want the punishment. The only way we participate in resistance is if we feel like someone's going to have our back and we're not going to be punished for it. And that is what allows us to express ourselves that way. And anti-vax sentiment can get that response, not because people are expressing their alienation of capitalism, at least not in a way that is directed towards a healthy relationship to our institutions. But you are hearing from petty bourgeois, would-be barons who are mad that there is an obligation that extends beyond themselves. Because increasingly, as we're getting to this end stage of capitalism where the misery that it carries out is going to be much more public and much less abstract than it used to be. There's an entire political current that is gearing up to turn that into a virtue, to say, yes, like our participation in this massacre, this sanguinary carnival, is an act of virtue, and that requires denying a social, denying a moral obligation to a social, denying the existence of a social. And so everybody ends up getting caught in this anti-social political vortex, because that is the only politically articulate version of that resistance you're going to find is within the Republican Party and on the right, because no other current exists. Everybody else is just drafting off of the left liberal hegemony of the Democrats. And so the only thing that they can react to is not the compulsion of the market, but when the market is absent, when the hand of the market is not there to obscure. So the fact that the fucking thing itself is free, that it is a government intervention, it is saying, here, we're going to give this to you, fundamentally disqualifies it. It renders it an imposition of an alien and foreign body. Because the way that the reactionary American landowner reconciles their participation in capitalism with all the things they hate about living and that are imposed on them, they abstract that onto the state representing an other that is attempting to dominate their individuality and autonomy. So the market can make them do anything, and it's fine because it is nature. It's God's will, basically. But when the state does something, that is an expression of the will of this inherently malevolent other. And so they resist it. And so